Good morning. Good morning to all my friends and family and followers, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. And this morning, on this beautiful mild morning, I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm coming to you from this magical location here down on Sydney Harbour, and as you can see, I've got the magnificent Opera House crowning me in the background. I've got a beautiful ferry just moving off, and this is my go-to place. So whenever I have friends and family or any visitors from overseas who come to Australia, I always bring them down here. This is my go-to spot because on the one side you've got the Opera House, and then if I pan around, you've got the magnificent, absolutely magnificent Harbour Bridge. I remember many years ago, I brought my wife down here to this location when she was my girlfriend, and I got her standing up here on the wall and holding on and leaning back, and I took this absolutely iconic shot of her, and it's a moment which has stayed in my heart and stayed in my mind from that point on. And I reckon it was a time that I probably fell in love with my girlfriend back then, and we've now been married for almost 35 years. Anyway, that's the story. That's my story. The rest is history. But it has been a magnificent 35 years, and I thank my wife Paula for putting up with me, because I've got to tell you, nobody else would have. Anyway, so where do we go from here? So I want to take a moment now just to talk to you about a topic which I've got near and dear to my heart. Many years ago, I read a book, and I also went to a seminar run by a fellow called W. Mitchell, who's a motivational speaker. He's a quadriplegic, a person who had a couple of a plane crash and a car crash. He had a couple of accidents, not just one accident. He had a couple of accidents. He fell off his motorbike, was his first accident, and then he crashed a plane, his personal plane, which was his second accident, and he was incapacitated for life. But he wrote a book, and he does the international circuit of motivational speaking, and his topic is, it's not what happens to you, but what you do about it that counts. Let me say that again. It's not what happens to you, but what you do about it that counts the most. And I remember him on stage saying that when he had his accidents and he was in the hospital there, he was suicidal. He says he was so worried about everything and worried about his future. And then he had a realization. Yes, I can't walk, and there are all these things that I can't do in my life. So say there's 1,000 things, he said. There's 1,000 things that I can no longer do in my life. But he realized that there are thousands of things that he can continue doing. So instead of looking at the negative, he changed his focus and started thinking about the positive. And hence the name of his book and the name of his seminar circuit. It's not what happens to you, but what you do about it that counts. So think about that. If somebody's a paraplegic, if somebody has lost their freedom to do a lot of things, and we're all experiencing that to a certain extent now with COVID-19. We're in ISO, our friends in Melbourne are in stage 3, I think, lockdown, and New South Wales, we don't know where we're heading at the moment, but the world is going through some tough times at the moment. Everybody's going through some tough times and having to reorganize themselves and re-look at their the new norm. So the message to children, the message to families, the message to all of us is yes, this has happened to us, right? Let's accept it, let's embrace it, and let's work out how to get around it so that it doesn't become a stumbling block for the rest of our lives. So as W. Mitchell said, it's not what's happened to us, all right? It's happened, all right? Let's accept it. What do we do about it? How do we make the most of it? And the way we make the most of it is we've got technology. We've got iPhones, we've got video conferencing, we've got, we can exercise, we can get out of the house. There's so many more things we can do, but all we have to do is focus on it and say, what can we do, how can we do it, and how can we get the most enjoyment and maximum pleasure and maximum outcome from those new things that we choose to do. Now you can still have fun, you can still enjoy yourself. Your friends are not going to disappear, they're only a phone call away. Pick up a phone and call them, chat to them, and don't talk to them about all the negative stuff. Don't talk to them about what we can't do anymore. We can't go to Greece and we can't we can't party, we can't dance. We can do other things. Let's expand and learn other ways of making the most of our lives. When I was at school, I went to Newington College, and we used to do religious studies back in those days when we had a chaplain. The chaplain that we had then was Reverend Swain was his name, a lovely guy. And I remember once in class, and I got a lot out of his class, I've got to admit, I really, really enjoyed his classes, and I loved his teaching style. It really resonated with me. But he said, don't worry about the future, he said, because we humans are so ingenious, was his word. I remember him, I can just see him in the class saying it. He said, we humans are so ingenious that we will continue to find solutions for all the problems that we create. Sometimes those solutions will create other problems. Fair enough. But we will find a solution and we will find a way to get through it. It's just our human nature. And I know that I'm fairly positive, and a lot of my friends and family are positive as well. We just need to support each other, lift each other up in these tough times, and look at other ways of engaging and fulfilling our social desires, our emotional desires, our spiritual desires. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. Not a nice saying, but it's an old saying that people of my generation used to use. I'm not sure that people use that anymore, but then again, if anybody gets offended, I apologise. But there's more than one way to get things done. And as W. Mitchell says, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it that counts. So don't feel sorry for yourselves. My spiritual father always reminds me, he says, James, don't get down, don't feel bad, and don't feel sorry for too many people, because there'll come a day, he says, that you will gladly want to swap places with them, because life has its ups and downs. We have good days, we have bad days, we have good periods, we have bad periods. So be prepared for the good and the not so good, and learn to make the most of either. Find purpose, find meaning in whatever's happening in your life. Anyway, I've loved it. I've loved it down here today, and this place always lifts me. I love to bring as many people down here, so let's organise one day to come down here and go for a walk with friends and family. I'm going to do it on a more regular basis rather than sitting at home on, say, a Sunday afternoon. Just get in the bloody car, come down here. There are parking spots everywhere, and if they're not parking spots down here, there'll be parking spots further up, so you may need to walk 5 or 10 minutes, but it's not an issue. But come and make the most of this beautiful Sydney. Now, this is your harbour, this is your place. Our parents worked hard for us to enjoy the fruits of this country while we can, and if we can. Of course, if we're in lockup or if we're in ISO, then maybe it's not a good idea. But when things are good, let's make the most of it. Anyway, let's finish off with our positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel great. To all my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and regardless of what happens, always look for the positive. And as W. Mitchell says, it's not what happens to us, it's what we do about it that counts the most. So be an example, be a beacon of hope to your friends and family and people around you. Show them how to have a good time. Show them that things, while tough, there is still meaning, there's still fulfillment for all of us to get in our lives. Anyway, yasas, sasagapao, see you later, I love you, and we'll talk again. Yasas, bye. One more look. This beautiful place, this magnificent Sydney, I love it. I'll bring Paula down here again and I'll get another photo of her. Take care, bye.